bright and early on a Friday morning to recap the opening of the 2025 NBA Finals, and what a night it was in Oklahoma City. We had Game 2 in the Women's College World Series as well. That will see a decisive winner-take-all Game 3, and Aaron Rodgers, on a day that was very online, finally allows us to know where he will be playing his football in 2025. That's in the Steel City. DRS, so much to get to here over these 3 hours up until 11 a.m. Eastern.
Football Friday, maybe. Casual Friday, maybe as well for some people here at the network. But as we get after today on a Friday morning on the early line, we have such good topics to talk about today. Shocking results last night. The Pacers up and the Thunder, as well as Aaron Rodgers, as you said, chose a new home, something we knew the entire time here. A lot of action to go. 3 hours, get you ready. The NHL tonight. You got Sunday night game number 2. We have to get ready for it between the Pacers and OKC. I love this. Major League Baseball across the board, warmer temperatures. My Phillies stinking up the joint. Let's get after it.
Yeah. You're telling me warmer temperatures again. If you weren't with us yesterday, we're having some air conditioning issues here in our New York City studios. So I have been graced with the opportunity to keep it short sleeves. But we got a caller today. Some of us may be a casual Friday. Not DRS. Did you just break out a new jacket for this Friday? For the special occasion?
Not necessarily new, but I was like, you know what? Yeah, I'm big on the same color matchups here with shows. I mean business at this network. So I'll hold down the fort where you can use all my clips today, Ben. We'll just put you as like a phoner in the background and we'll make some big dollars with it, baby. Let's go.
Good by me. We'll get some baseball breakdowns entering the weekend in Major League Baseball. And as we get ready for Super Regional Weekend in the NCAA baseball tournament as well. But of course, DRS, we must start with game number 1 of the 2025 NBA Finals. We desired a series, and after game number 1 and a stunning result in OKC, it appears a series we will have. The cardiac comeback kids, the Indiana Pacers, do it once again for a 4th consecutive series in this postseason. Indiana storms back, down by as many as 15 points with about 9.5 minutes remaining in the 4th quarter. Down by 9, DRS, with 2:39 remaining in regulation. The Pacers storm all the way back to steal game number 1. And who was the hero once again? The underrated Tyrese Halliburton, the game-winning jumper to give Indiana the lead. 111-110, the only lead the Pacers had the entirety of the game. Good enough for a Game 1 win in the NBA Finals. 111-110. The Pacers need 3 more wins for their first ever NBA championship.
Watching some TV last night, perusing through, certainly had an eye on game number 1, but was watching my Yankees team total over 4.5 go up in flames because they can't hit with runners in scoring possession. But as I say that, I was like, you know what? I don't have to check out the second half, Ben. This is a blowout here for the Pacers. I'm headed to bed. I'll wake up in the morning and I'll see if I actually covered the 9.5, which I really liked yesterday. Well, waking up to see that Halliburton hit another big jump shot and they upended the Thunder after coming back from another miraculous comeback. This is just what the Pacers do. It feels like they are the cardiac kids at this point. Absolutely not afraid of the big moment where nobody gave them a chance for the series and not a lot of people gave them a chance in game number 1. Sure, they might be able to cover the 9.5, but go in Oklahoma City and win that basketball game. They did that, surprising me as well. We got a series, and I love that.
There are so many stats and history-defying, likelihood-defying numbers that the Indiana Pacers have racked up in the record books around the association this postseason. DRS, this might be my favorite. The Pacers are 5-3 straight up, 5-3 outright in a playoff game in this postseason run when they trail by 15 points at some time throughout that contest. They have a 1-0 series lead in the NBA Finals. We'll recap the entirety of Game 1 and what it means now for this set, the remainder of the way, in just a matter of moments. We were waiting, we were believing, and frankly, we knew it was only a matter of time for Aaron Rodgers to sign with the Pittsburgh Steelers. That made official yesterday. Aaron Rodgers is now heading to Pittsburgh ahead of mandatory minicamp next week in the Steel City. It took until early June, DRS, but the Steelers have their new quarterback, the 41-year-old Aaron Rodgers.
The worst kept secret in football here, right? Where they probably just had that agreement. Yeah, I'll be in there, but I need my off season. I got to get rested. I got to get ready. I'm a little bit older. I don't need to learn the playbook. I'll come see you when I can come see you. And the fact you're not going to go into the season with Mason Rudolph. We understood that from the jump. And now that Aaron Rodgers is in Pittsburgh, this is good because this is a lightning rod situation for Aaron Rodgers. Why? Because he said, you know what? I don't really like Green Bay all that more. Let me choose my new destination. They're sort of kicking me out. They got a new young buck. Well, I'll show them and go to the Jets, and I'll ruin the Jets organization. Now I'll go over to Pittsburgh, and maybe I'll be a coach killer there, and it's going to be hard to kill Mike Tomlin, but that could happen this year. The expectations will rise, but are they appropriately rising is something we'll talk about throughout this show. No surprise to me. Love Aaron Rodgers in Pittsburgh because it's going to be really good or really bad, and I love that.
His 21st season in the National Football League, the first 18 in Green Bay, the previous 2 with the New York Jets, and now in the Steel City. More quarterback news around the NFL yesterday, and this not great, DRS. Anthony Richardson will not participate in minicamp next week for Indianapolis due to a shoulder issue. Of course, AR only played 4 games during his rookie season 2 years ago because of shoulder surgery that ended that rookie season very early on.
I thought this might have been the last-ditch effort to say, you know what, have a good, healthy offseason here. We'll stick you in there as a starter week number 1. We'll give you 4 to 5 weeks to get this worked out to see if you can still be the quarterback of our future. And it's not even going to get started at this point, which is amazing. It doesn't surprise me, but all of that talent, we just didn't think that maybe he can hone those skills and be accurate. And it's coming to fruition now. He might not even be the day 1 starter, and Daniel Jones is going to take over. What a disaster for Indy.
Danny Dimes in Indy? Maybe, just maybe. How about some wild comebacks, not just in the NBA Finals, but during a Thursday around MLB? The Atlanta Braves had a 10-4 lead over the Diamondbacks entering the top of the 9th. An easy win, right, to avoid the sweep against the Snakes? Wrong. The D-backs played 7 in the 9th to come all the way back and pull off the sweep in the A over the Braves.
Smashing home runs left and right in that 9th inning all throughout that game. You want to talk about, I knew Atlanta would hit yesterday, and if you would have told me they'd get to 10 runs and they would lose that ball game, that is unbelievable. When you talk about their manager saying this could be the rock bottom moment, yeah, it looks like it is.
We are sticking that fork firmly in the Atlanta Braves. How about the 4th and final game of our NLCS rematch this week out in LA? The Dodgers rally late to win 6-5. And who delivered the game-winning RBI? The former Met, Michael Conforto.
Yeah, how about that? You know, good weather conditions during the day. The ball traveled a little bit further there yesterday. Nice win for the Dodgers. Could we see a preview there of maybe an NLCS? Could be.
Men's semifinals today at Roland Garros in the French Open. Yesterday in Paris, it was the women on the court. Arina Sabalenka advances to the final. She'll take on Coco Gauff in the final this weekend in Paris.
The only thing worse about, this tournament is that we have to deal with Wimbledon and breakfast with Wimbledon coming up. Man, just put this thing on MSNBC and leave it alone. I mean, come on.
Again, it's on Turner, TNT Sports doing it this year. The Women's College World Series, Texas Tech wins 4-3, holding off Texas late to force a winner-take-all Game 3 DRS today in Oklahoma City.
The pressure-packed environment is it going to be, but what's the over-under in the game? 1.5? What is it?
It has to be. With Najee Kennedy still on the bump, who has thrown every single pitch for the Red Raiders since the Super Regional. Heroic stuff. Texas Tech looking for its first ever national championship. Same for the Longhorns. More on the early line next. The Knicks really got past that playoff dragon for them that really stood in their way. So for the New York Knicks to be the Celtics and then an outright favorite to win the Eastern Conference Finals, that's where the disappointment is.
The goalposts got moved, right? Because when you went into the Celtics series, a lot of Knicks fans said they weren't going to beat it. This, I'll say this is more unprecedented than the 99 run when they were the 8th seed.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
No one is going to pick Indiana. No one's going to pick Indiana to make it close, honestly. Like, you could get tremendous odds if you pick OKC in 7.
I think that taking the series over 5.5 games, the last 2 NBA Finals series ended in 5. I think this one goes 6. I think the Thunder will get the job done, but I think the Pacers are just too strong of a team and too talented of a team and too deep of a team to lose in 5 or fewer games.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune in to Game Time Decisions weekdays on SportsGrid.
Game number 1 of the 2025 NBA Finals last night in Oklahoma City between the Thunder and the Pacers. Of course, so much conversation entering this championship set, DRS, about what this would look like between OKC in Indiana, with the Thunder a very hefty favorite, not just for game number 1, closing as a 10-point favorite, but for the entirety of the series, more than likely to hoist the Larry O'Brien Trophy in only 4, maybe 5 games. How competitive would it be? Could Indiana fight its way to winning a game even in the NBA Finals? We got our answer in resounding fashion last night. The Cardiac Kids and Tyrese Halliburton do it once again. The Pacers storm back to steal game 1 late, 111-110. That 1-point lead for the Pacers that happened with 0.3 seconds remaining in regulation, courtesy of the game-winning jumper from Tyrese Halliburton, the only lead Indiana had in the entirety of the game, the only lead the Pacers needed, DRS, to take game number 1 of the NBA Finals.
Absolutely incredible. Imagine this. You're a team that's not expected to do much damage in the finals. Maybe some people are giving you, they could get a game here, probably a gentleman's sweep, or even a sweep against you. You go into OKC and you open up that game down double digits at the break. You turn the basketball over 20 times, not to get 20 times in the first half, and you escape with a victory against one of the more dominant teams in the NBA that we've seen over the past couple seasons. That doesn't make any sense. Neither does the Indiana Pacers winding up in the finals, where not a lot of people gave them a lot of respect in the regular season entering into the playoffs. And here we are, winning round 1, winning round 2, winning round 3 in the Eastern Conference Finals, and winning game number 1 as a double-digit underdog in game number 1, and not even playing your best basketball here and fighting all the way back to win this one. It's unheard of. It's fun watching this Pacers team with so many different ways to beat you. Now, granted, they didn't play that well, but they got equal scoring in that starting lineup, everybody hitting double digits, Obi topping off the bench with 17 points, and to have Tyrese Halliburton, who's used to making big plays, make another big play on the road and come away with that victory. Because, Ben, what were we looking for last night? That shot doesn't go down from Halliburton. Moral victory for the Pacers? No, we're probably still talking about a sweep from Oklahoma City, and they didn't play all that well and still won that game. But the fact that the Pacers were able to close and win the game really sets up a different vibe for game number 2 on Sunday, and I like it because it looks like we're going to get an extended series, probably heading, as what we thought, Ben, to 6 games.
We wanted this to get to 6. If it got to 6, that would be an upset from the odds perspective. Over 5.5 games yesterday, plus 112. OKC minus 2.5 in that series spread, minus 122. Again, the expectation was the Thunder would not only be crowned an NBA champion for the first time in their 17 years in OKC, they would do so rather swiftly, maybe pulling off a gentleman's sweep. That was the most likely outcome. It does not seem to be the case following game number 1. In DRS, we'll talk about OKC. We'll talk about the MVP performance out of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, scoring 38 points. But when you think of this Indiana team, what we saw last night is exactly the Pacers side that we have seen the entirety of this magical playoff run. And one of the reasons I thought we tried to caution people, do not count Indiana out, despite what the odds makers are saying around Oklahoma City. Last night, the Pacers win their 7th road game outright as an underdog in this playoff run. 7-2 straight up as an underdog. 8-3 outright now for Indiana in this postseason run. In DRS, for the 5th time in 8 total games, when the Pacers have trailed by at least 15 points, they come back to win. It is incredible what Indiana has done. It has defied history. It has made history now in this postseason for the Pacers.
It has, and it's amazing to watch because you're not supposed to do that, specifically against really good basketball teams. Hey, we didn't play all that well. It's the Nets in February. We were down double digits at the break, 15 in the 4th. Yeah, we used a nice little 4th quarter to come back because we just overwhelmed that team. You're not supposed to overwhelm OKC. You're not supposed to mount comebacks against one of the best defensive teams that we've seen in a while, and a team that's at home, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander damn near dropping 40 points in the game. You're not supposed to do this. But the Pacers have done this time and time again in the playoffs, where sometimes when you talk about, we just need a team to face some adversity and come back from it. Every game it feels like the Pacers are facing adversity and coming back from it, almost immune to being down double digits in situations they're not supposed to win, including on the road in big environments, which they continually to win against. That's the sign of a good basketball team. It's not that you play well in your home court. Now we'll see what happens on the road. This team is beating really good opponents on the regular, and it's routine for them to do that, Ben. It's crazy.
In DRS, speaking of home floor advantage, Oklahoma City has been great inside the Paycom Center throughout this playoff run, entering the NBA Finals, 8-1 straight up, average margin of victory of 24.6 points per game, all 7 covers for OKC coming at home as a pretty hefty home favorite. They had won 5 of those 8 entering last night by at least 25 points, and certainly seemed on track to have that look rather similar with a 12-point lead at the break, up by 15 with 9:26 remaining in that 4th quarter. In fact, DRS, OKC led by 9 points with 2:39 left in regulation. Entering last night, teams in the NBA Finals since 1971, when trailing by at least 9 points in the final 3 minutes of regulation, were 0-182. Make it 1-182 now for the Indiana Pacers. It is incredible what they have done. They get 6 guys in double figures, and it's been that balance and depth, DRS, for the Pacers throughout this playoff run, despite nobody even scoring 20 points for Indiana last night, despite 38 out of the MVP and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander on the other side.
That's what the scary part is about this. It wasn't such, that like Villanova versus Georgetown in the mid-1980s. Like, they didn't even miss a shot here. That's what it takes to take down Goliath, right? That didn't happen last night. They turned the basketball over 20 times in the first half and escaped with a victory as a double-digit underdog. Yeah. That's incredible here. So there's 2 ways to angle this, which we'll talk about for like Sunday's game. Oklahoma City coming out on fire in the first half, not giving any life to the Indiana Pacers, and the Pacers going like, so what? We'll march right in there and win game number 2 because we don't care how many points we're down. We can always come back, and now we can always come back.
A live line to fire, to say the least. That is Indiana, who sees themselves as an 11-point underdog for game number 2 on Sunday. The odds makers understand the importance of the Thunder at least earning a home split to start the NBA Finals. We'll hear from Rick Carlisle after the break.
No one is going to pick Indiana. No one's going to pick Indiana to make it close, honestly. Like, you could get tremendous odds if you pick OKC in 7.
I think that taking the series over 5.5 games, the last 2 NBA Finals series ended in 5. I think this one goes 6. I think the Thunder will get the job done, but I think the Pacers are just too strong of a team and too talented of a team and too deep of a team to lose in 5 or fewer games.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
The Knicks really got past that playoff dragon for them that really stood in their way. So for the New York Knicks to be the Celtics and then an outright favorite to win the Eastern Conference Finals, that's where the disappointment is.
The goalposts got moved, right? Because when you went into the Celtics series, a lot of Knicks fans said they weren't going to beat it. This, I'll say this is more unprecedented than the 99 run when they were the 8th seed.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Face. He's the new face. New face of what? The hell are you talking about? Like seriously. Oh, the new face of the NBA, Anthony. Yeah, okay. You know what I mean? Like, really? Guy's got 2 shots. Yeah, he's a good player. I've always thought the whole face of the NBA thing was comical. You want him to be the face of the NBA because you don't like it that all the other faces of the NBA aren't American.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
And if they go through Cat, that means Cat at 11-1 could be Eastern Conference Finals. And the worst team in the WNBA is the Chicago Sky. They have no perimeter play. They're playing too many minutes. And Angel Reese doesn't have the help she needs.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
The cardiac comeback kids do it once again. From Indianapolis, the Pacers storm into OKC and steal game number 1 of the 2025 NBA Finals, 111-110. Again, that 1-point lead with 0.3 seconds remaining after the game-winning jumper from Tyrese Halliburton, the only lead Indiana had the entirety of game number 1. They trailed by 15 points with fewer than 9.5 minutes remaining. They trailed by 9 points with 2 minutes and 39 ticks remaining in regulation. So how does Indiana keep doing this as they have done now in all 4 rounds throughout this magical playoff run? Let's hear from the guy that coordinates it all, Pacers head coach Rick Carlisle.
Just had to hang in. The first half was rough. 19 turnovers. The good thing was it was only 9 points. And so, we were within reach of still being in the game. I think we won the third quarter by 3, which was progress. And then, they went up 15. And we just said, hey, let's just keep chipping away at the rock, Got to keep pounding the rock, and just chip away and hang in. And we've had a lot of experience in these kinds of games, and our guys have a real good feel for what it's all about, giving ourselves a chance, and we got fortunate, but made plays.
DRS, as Rick Carlisle alluded to right there, they've got a real feel for these games. He is not wrong. I mentioned how Indiana has staged a dramatic comeback in every single round, all 4 now of this NBA postseason, to clinch their opening round series against the Bucks in that 5th game. They trailed by 7 points with 34.2 seconds remaining in OT. They won that basketball game. Who scored the game winner? Tyrese Halliburton. The Pacers trailed in game 2 of their second round series against Cleveland by 20 points in the third quarter. 7 points with 47.2 seconds remaining. Who had the game-winning 3? Tyrese Halliburton. Indiana, of course, trailing the New York Knicks in game number 1 by 17 points of the Eastern Conference Finals with 6.5 remaining. Down 14 with 2:40 left. 8 with 34.1 ticks remaining in regulation. They won that game in overtime. Last night, they trailed by 15 points with 9:28 remaining in regulation. 2:39 left in the 4th and final quarter. They come all the way back to win. And who had the game-winning defining bucket? Tyrese Halliburton once more.
I mean, you take a look at the shot attempts for the game, right? 98 shot attempts for OKC, 82 shot attempts for the Pacers. You're supposed to get clobbered. That's a double-digit loss with ease, let alone you don't even win the basketball game, which is such a crazy analysis because when you go back to the drawing board for OKC, it's like, okay, guys, forced a lot of turnovers. That's what we do. We're at home, and we lost that game. Like, it's almost hard to come back from where they know they have to play better. But if you lost a game where, again, you forced 20 turnovers per se in the first half and lost it, it's like, okay, we played great defense and we still didn't win. Like, what has to change? What happens if the Pacers don't turn the basketball over? What happens if the Pacers shoot as many times as we do from the rim? So now you start to have a little bit of doubt creep in, and you need adversity on both sides. Pacers are used to it. They've been playing all the way through, winning their series down big. You can't come back from this. We'll see you next game and end up winning those games. And then you take it OKC, goes, man, we had a great defensive effort, still lost that game. Yes, now we're going to face some adversity because we're behind in a series and just lost home court advantage. How important game number 2 is for OKC, not the Pacers. We were talking about the Pacers, 0-2 series over. No, Pacers. Pacers could be 2-0 heading back to Indy. Incredible.
It really is, DRS. And although the odds do not expect that to be the case, don't tell that to Indiana. Again, 8-3 outright as an underdog in this playoff run. They are 5-3 in these playoff games when trailing by at least 15 points at any time. It is ridiculous. That record should be 0-8, 1-7. It is above 500. It is 5-3. So Oklahoma City entered the NBA Finals as a minus 700 favorite to win an NBA championship for the first time in the 17 years in Oklahoma City. They are still a hefty favorite, but it's minus 330. In the big change, DRS, we expected the Thunder to win in probably as quickly as 5 games. Now we see 6 there in the series outlook.
Yeah, 6 makes a lot of sense at plus 168 because the expectations, again, according to the odds makers, you should get a win there in game number 2 by OKC. And what are we thinking then? Hey, let's give the Pacers the benefit of the doubt on their home court. They'll at least get one of those games. Now you're 2-2 headed back to game 5 at a heavy favorite again for OKC, which again, OKC will be a favorite in Indy for game number 6. I understand where the FanDuel Sportsbook and the odds makers are going here.
Yeah, absolutely so. We'll look at where the series situation stands entering game 2, what we can anticipate in that second game on Sunday, and of course, what it means for who goes home an NBA champ. All of that next.
Falcons are actually relieved that he's kind of not there to create more of a distraction. Look, I mean, I said it the day it happened. It was one of the stupider decisions I've ever seen by a professional NFL franchise to sign a quarterback to a $180 million contract and then draft his replacement exactly 5 weeks later. This was a terrible organizational decision by the Falcons. Now, they're going to spin this, and this is what's annoying about the Falcons and their PR staff. They're going to spin this as if this is the plan we had all along. This is the plan that when, Kirk Cousins either got hurt or didn't play well or got too old, we were going to have Penix come in. And guess what? The new plan is now we're going to keep Kirk Cousins as a backup. So if Michael Penix gets hurt, we told you so. We were right for keeping him on the roster. We were smart for keeping him here. No, this whole thing has been an abject disaster.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high, but the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that rim. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
Just a little flyer, couple of 15.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. That's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
The Steelers' interest in Aaron Rodgers as a joke. Your boy went off about the entire situation and why it taken so long to forget him. Terry Bradshaw getting involved.
Yeah, insane. Basically, what are you bringing him in for 1 year? All of this drama for 1 year at this guy, where he is now in his career is he's washed.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
The Indiana Pacers, in triumphant comeback fashion, steal game number 1 of the 2025 NBA Finals. DRS, as we shared, Oklahoma City entered game number 1 a minus 700 outright favorite. The most likely outcome was OKC to win in only 5 games, pulling off a gentleman's sweep for the first NBA championship for the Thunder in their 17 years in OKC. Now it's the Pacers with a 1-0 series advantage in Indiana, just 3 victories away from its first NBA championship in franchise history. I do want to ask you about the series spread quickly from a handicapping and betting perspective. Donnie, entering this series and all the previews and breakdowns that we did, including entering game 1 last night, you and I were hoping that this series would be competitive, tightly contested. We would see some really good basketball. We certainly did in that second half last night. We were hoping it would get to 6 games. That is now the expectation. But with OKC still a minus 330 outright favorite and a team that was laying 2.5 games in the series spread, now only a 1.5 favorite, for them to cash that ticket, they would still have to just knock off Indiana in 6 games. Where do you think the value might be from betting this series in the NBA Finals?
Yeah, because, coming into it, it's like, okay, what's the best part? Maybe game 5, a win by OKC, but game 6 also, both those plus money. They can still land in that realm. There's no doubt about it. And also, this bringing up a series where, dating back to 2001, you saw the Philadelphia 76ers, which we talked about, against the Los Angeles Lakers. Yeah. Heavy underdog in the series. What a surprising game number 1, the Iverson step over. There are the Sixers up 1-0 series lead, and the Lakers regroup, and what do? Win games 2, 3, 4, and 5. And by the way, back in the old 2-3-2 format, they won all of those games in Philadelphia there, which you don't have that because it's 2-2-1-1-1. But we're not saying like, oh, this is now the Pacers are in it for a long series. We're hoping that because they played well last night enough to win that basketball game. But you still understand how good OKC is and how much they're still going to be favored the rest of the way, where it still would not be a surprise if this ends in a gentleman's sweep. We don't think it's going to be that case because Indiana was good enough to win game 1 on the road. Why can't they get at least one of the next 3 to 4 games, right? To at least see, let's just say, 6 games overall. Right. But for me, from a betting side of it, I do like the Pacers because one thing, again, that we said, Ben, this wasn't a perfect game played by the Pacers. I mean, far, far from it, and they still won. What happens if the Pacers roll up and shoot really effectively from the floor? Instead of having 24 turnovers, they have 12 turnovers now. Those easy buckets that Oklahoma City likes to get out in transition on those turnovers, those aren't there. So now we're saying, like, did our eyes deceive us, Ben, in game number 1? And are the Pacers really this good? Or did OKC just let their foot off the gas and lost that basketball game? That's tough to judge. And that's why it's hard because we don't have a lot to reach back on here with a team going up against a team that's so dominant in OKC, winning a game like that. You might see a 25-point blowout in game number 2 by OKC. You also might see the Pacers win by 5 points and go, we don't know why anybody doubted us. Like, we're not here because we got lucky to get here. We're here because we're really good, and we beat teams soundly along the way in the playoffs.
19 turnovers for Indiana in the first half. They were down by 12 at the break, and they trailed by 15 with 9:28 remaining in the fourth quarter, 9 with 2:39 left, and they still found a way to win with their only lead coming with 0.3 seconds remaining after the game-winning shot from Tyrese Halliburton once again. But to Donnie's point, nobody scored 20 points even last night for Indiana. Sure, as the case has been for this balanced Pacers squad throughout the entirety of this postseason, they had 6 guys in double figures, but the MVP in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was brilliant. He had 38 points, DRS. Jalen Williams, he had 17, under his points prop of 22.5. Chet Holmgren has to be a ton better. He had 6 points on 2 of 9 shooting in only 6 boards. But again, when you look at how this game was won for Indiana, they came back to have their only lead with 0.3 seconds left, and they didn't play all that great, certainly not in those opening 24 minutes. We have talked, DRS, about how the Pacers are built for this, right? The cardiac comeback kids that have defied the odds, the history, and made their own history throughout this playoff run. Second time for Oklahoma City, where you can almost question some of that playoff pedigree for this young core. Game number 1, round number 2 against the Denver Nuggets. OKC led by 13 with under 6.5 minutes remaining in the fourth quarter and coughed that game up down the stretch. Same story last night. And yet, from the odds perspective, DRS, you look at all the numbers on the Thunder to win this series. The sweep, not possible anymore for OKC, but to win in 5, 6, or 7, all under a 3-to-1 price, which is still more than half as likely as any price on the Pacers at plus 710, being the shortest to win an NBA championship back inside Gainbridge Fieldhouse in 6.
Yeah, it's pretty simple, Ben. The algorithm does not like the Pacers, and they don't care what happened in game number one, because that is insanity, those prices. Like, you now have home court advantage for the Pacers. You're like, okay, it's going to be a longer series. Like, for the Pacers to be at home with a chance to clinch is not so far out of the realm, and it's a plus 710 price. Now, game number 7 certainly would be harder, because that probably means it's home game, it's 10 points, and it's a plus 1040 price, but that's insanity here. And then you take a look at the 5 games. It's only plus 290. Like, 4 straight wins for the Thunder is only a plus 290, which shows how much of a dominant favorite they were coming into the series. And let's just say the sports books aren't going to give up the fourth there and say, hey, look, we understand it's 0-1. The series isn't over. It's just the fact, though, that the Pacers are going to win this thing. That's what makes it fun to look at. But you're still not, hey, now there's value on OKC. Ain't no value on OKC at those price points now. No. Maybe there'll be value on OKC if they lose game number 2. It's like, all right, well, maybe they're not that good, but can they force a game number 7 and get a better price ticket in your back pocket? But for the Pacers here, I mean, look at that number to sweep. 18-1. You know what I mean? Like, to get the 7 games plus 1040, you're getting pinball all over the place for the Pacers, and they had the lead. They're not even down in the series.
I really hope you all were watching this show yesterday when you saw the game 1 and series winner parlay of Indiana winning the opener and Oklahoma City winning the entirety of the set. It was plus 430. I really hope you saw that number. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, DRS, still basically has the same price as OKC to win an NBA championship, for him to win finals MVP at minus 310. All the prices on individuals for Indiana shorter. Tyrese Halliburton the shortest at plus 370. Now, Halliburton had that magical moment in the choke replication of Reggie Miller in game number 1 in what turned out to be the game-tying shot in regulation of the Eastern Conference Finals against the Knicks. And we thought for sure if Indiana won that series, he would be Eastern Conference Finals MVP. It goes to his teammate in Pascal Siakam, who was still the leading scorer last night for Indiana. Any value in those Finals MVP odds, DRS, in your estimation?
I mean, it's again, outside of the big-time shot by Halliburton, he didn't play all that well. And I got to tell you a funny story yesterday. Right. So I told you all day long, loved Halliburton under 17.5. Loved it at the half. Went to bed, and I saw Halliburton made the game. I said, what did he end up with, 35 in the game? Because he probably had a huge second half. Yeah. He didn't. He still had a bad game overall offensively, but just making the big shots in the big moment, he's going to get that lift off. The key, though, is can Siakam certainly overtake him? If you ask me right now to take it, which way is it going to go? I'd probably still go towards Siakam because I think he has a chance to score more points in this series, but you never know, again, which way they're going to vote, because even Tyrese Halliburton, like, hey, and now the MVP of the Eastern Conference, like, he was ready to walk up on the stage and take that trophy down, had to sort of dip back into the background, like, oh, yeah, my guy won it, that's the way it was supposed to be. But no, big shots and big moments are certainly going to lend you that upper hand, and he has it right now. But I still like Siakam a lot here at that price point.
Game number 2 on Sunday. OKC still on their home floor, but understanding they might not have that home floor advantage any longer in the series overall in the NBA Finals. And yet, the Thunder an 11-point favorite early for game number 2 on Sunday evening. Again, DRS, that is a larger spread in favor of Oklahoma City for game 2 than even in game number 1. In 77% of the bets currently on the FanDuel Sportsbook are backing the Pacers as the underdog. There is a distinction there. And, of course, the overwhelming understanding from the odds makers, the Thunder need game number 2.
Absolutely. I mean, come on now. You can't go down 0-2. But you know what? I actually would like them to go down 0-2 because that means we probably are getting 6 to 7 games regardless of who wins. And that's all we asked for coming into the series. Give us some competitiveness. Thank you to the Pacers for doing that last night. Now we got a series. Now we can just sit back and enjoy it instead of like, oh, only 3 games left in the series, in the season. Not the case now.
No, we've got a series in the NBA Finals, and Pittsburgh has a quarterback. Knicks really got past that playoff dragon for them that really stood in their way. So for the New York Knicks to be the Celtics and then an outright favorite to win the Eastern Conference Finals, that's where the disappointment is.
The goalposts got moved, right? Because when you went into the Celtics series, a lot of Knicks fans said they weren't going to beat it. I'll say this is more unprecedented than the 99 run when they were the 8th seed.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
No one is going to pick Indiana. No one's going to pick Indiana to make it close, honestly. Like, you could get tremendous odds if you pick OKC in 7.
I think that taking the series over 5.5 games, the last 2 NBA Finals series ended in 5. I think this one goes 6. I think the Thunder will get the job done, but I think the Pacers are just too strong of a team and too talented of a team and too deep of a team to lose in 5 or fewer games.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune in to Game Time Decisions weekdays on SportsGrid.
What a day it was on a Thursday in early June around that sports landscape. Game number 1 of the NBA Finals. We'll talk some of the action on the College Diamond, both in the NCAA softball tournament, baseball tournament yesterday as well. But DRS, a very day for everybody to be online as we saw a lot of chatter and relationships breaking up and a new relationship forming as well during a Thursday afternoon. Finally, it took him until June, but we knew it was the large elephant in the room that basically at some point would make his presence known. That's Aaron Rodgers, now officially signing with the Pittsburgh Steelers on a 1-year deal. Aaron will report to the Steel City next week ahead of mandatory minicamp for the Steelers. So the 41-year-old quarterback, after his previous 2 seasons in New York, now becomes the new quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers. DRS, I thought you summed it up very beautifully in just a few words earlier on in this opening hour. The worst kept secret in the NFL. Now the secret has been unveiled. What's your reaction?
I do like it from a content perspective. I do, because it adds, invigoration there in Pittsburgh. Now, the fan base might be like, hey, great, we got Aaron Rodgers. At least he gives you something to talk about. Like, we were laughing at, what happens if Aaron Rodgers just decided, like, in June, like, you know what? I told the Pittsburgh Steelers I was going to commit to him, but I'm just not feeling it right now. Like, I don't want to go to training camp. I think I'm retired at this point. Like, everybody would be fired because they have no quarterback. They get hammered this year. And why would you waste all that defensive prowess and adding DK Metcalf when you didn't even get a legitimate quarterback? As much as they told you, hey, man, Mason Rudolph's been here before. He's led us on a playoff run and into playoff. Like, stop it. Nobody thought, I should say, he was ever going to be the quarterback. But here's the intriguing part that comes in. Like, if you did have that deal where, like, I need some extra time, which is okay if you're an aging quarterback in a system that you understand. Not another team after it was an absolute disaster in New York. You would figure from a quarterback standpoint, like, hey, there's doubts about me if I can be that guy. Let me show these guys in the room. Let me get in with them in March and April and May. We'll have lunch every day at the facility. We'll have, training groups get together. We'll hang out on the weekends. Let me really ingratiate myself to the city of Pittsburgh and let them know, like, I understand this is my last chance here, and I'm going to make the best possible opportunity I can possibly have. But no, instead we got Aaron Rodgers. Like, it wasn't my fault with the Jets that everything went down that way. Now, you know what, Mike, I actually wanted to play in Minnesota and some other outlets out there, maybe if San Francisco had a chance there. Let me put you on the back burner here, because if I turn out I want to play football, I'll give you a call. And when I do, it will be on my absolute terms when I come to town and what I want to do with this offense, which is going to be so much fun to play out. But also understand this. what does that one-year deal look like? Because usually right away, Ben, we hear exactly the financial terms of a big decision that goes down. Now, we understand it's a one-year deal. I am so intrigued of how this one-year deal is actually structured because, as I just said, you might have gotten Aaron Rodgers on a massive discount in Minnesota by going like, I just want to play football. I have a ton of money. This could be a great situation for me. Let's make this work for both ends here. And if you wanted to go to, let's just say, San Francisco. But the fact that it feels like he had to be prodded to go to Pittsburgh, like, what are we thinking this one-year deal looks like? Because if you said to me, like, what would be fair for Aaron Rodgers? 1 year, let's just say $17.5 million guaranteed with some incentives. That's okay. Going rate for an aging quarterback. He wants to be there. And maybe this could turn into a 2 or 3 year deal if it works out well over the first couple months. Please don't let me see this, Ben. Like 1 year, $36 million. Like, what does this deal actually look like is really also going to change my opinion. Because you say, well, why would that change from what you're going to get on the field? If Aaron went there, again, 1 year, $13 million with incentives, I go, you know what? I like this deal. Because he's saying, I'm betting on myself. I want to prove to you how good I am. Or does he walk into, man, that's a lot of money. And if my calf flares up in September, just didn't work out. But boy, I made a lot of money to come to Pittsburgh.
Yeah, DRS, I think you hit the nail on the head in the entire scenario and situation that has led to Aaron Rodgers signing with the Steelers not in early February, early March, but early June. Just for comparison's sake, Russell Wilson, veteran aging quarterback, maybe not at the peak of his powers, signed a 1 year deal with the New York Giants with a guaranteed base of $10.5 million with incentives that could reach near $21 million. Daniel Jones, not a veteran necessarily, but on a 1 year deal with the Indianapolis Colts, 1 year around $14 million. That's just some context. We'll see what the financial value is for Aaron Rodgers in the Steel City. I also think you surmised it very well. Not sure I have much more to add on from the situation because the Pittsburgh Steelers are a proud franchise who understand that the standard of success, the standard is the standard under Mike Tomlin. 18 years, never fewer than 8 wins, never a losing record, even with some very mediocre quarterback play the last half decade. They have made the playoffs 4 of those 5 years. That's not the goal anymore. They have to win a playoff game, something they have failed to do since 2016. So for Aaron Rodgers to wait until early June to show up ahead of mandatory minicamp when he doesn't know this organization, he doesn't know this playbook under Arthur Smith, he doesn't know his teammates, it's still not the greatest look. And listen, Aaron Rodgers, regardless of what he says, regardless of the personal issues he explains to everybody he is dealing with off the field, is a selfish individual. He could have changed that this offseason. He did not. He signs with Pittsburgh in early June to be there ahead of mandatory minicamp. And Donnie, I think we have had this conversation so many times because it was the worst kept secret in the NFL, because it was the largest elephant in the room, regardless of what the Steelers had to say about Mason Rudolph or their draft philosophy at the end of April. We knew it was Aaron Rodgers, especially after they did not select Shedeur Sanders. So we have had the question if, and more than likely when, Aaron Rodgers signs with Pittsburgh, does he move the needle for a team whose win total is 8.5? Now that it's official, DRS, what do you think?
I think they win 9 games as the way it plays out, but also understand this too. He's falling into a really good situation. Not that the Steelers are a great team. It's going to be a tough way to try to win that division. The Bengals got that ultra offense, but no defense. And the Ravens are always there. It's one of the best regular season teams as long as Lamar Jackson is healthy. But understand the start of that season for the Jets, or for the Steelers going up against the Jets in game number 1. You look at the Jets game, that's winnable. That's Justin Fields. That's a new quarterback trying to break in with a new team here. Game number 2, that's Seattle. That's at home. You know, there, Sam Darnold trying to break it in with a new football team. Game number 3 is at the Patriots, which we expect better from the Patriots. But again, it's still Drake May. Then you have the Vikings, brand new quarterback here. Then the Browns. Is that Kenny Pickett? Is that Shedeur Sanders? Look at the first 5 games. Are we crazy to think that they might be 4-1 after those first 5?
I don't think we would be. It's the standard of the Steelers. More on Aaron and Pittsburgh next.
Falcons are actually relieved that he's kind of not there to create more of a distraction. Look, I mean, I said it the day it happened. It was one of the stupider decisions I've ever seen by a professional NFL franchise to sign a quarterback to a $180 million contract and then draft his replacement exactly 5 weeks later. This was a terrible organizational decision by the Falcons. Now, they're going to spin this, and this is what's annoying about the Falcons and their PR staff. They're going to spin this as if this is the plan we had all along. This is the plan that when, Kirk Cousins either got hurt or didn't play well or got too old, we were going to have Penix come in. And guess what? The new plan is now we're going to keep Kirk Cousins as a backup. So if Michael Penix gets hurt, we told you so. We were right for keeping him on the roster. We were smart for keeping him here. No, this whole thing has been an abject disaster.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high, but the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that rim. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple 15.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. That's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
The Steelers' interested in Aaron Rodgers as a joke. Your boy went off about the entire situation and why it taken so long to forget him. Terry Bradshaw getting involved.
Yeah, and saying basically, what are you bringing him in for 1 year? All of this drama for 1 year at this guy, where he is now in his career is he's washed.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Aaron Rodgers is now officially a Pittsburgh Steeler. What does it mean for a Steelers franchise that, of course, they win a lot of football games? They can get to the opening round of the playoffs, but the Steelers have not won a playoff game since 2016, which was the last season Pittsburgh even played in the AFC Championship game. DRS just ran through the schedule of Pittsburgh to start, going over that win total of 8.5. Donnie, I would not be surprised with Aaron Rodgers as their starting quarterback if the Steelers even won 10 games, if the Steelers even reached the postseason. What I do not expect to be the case is that Aaron Rodgers makes Pittsburgh a true conference contender in a difficult AFC. Now, we have kind of joked about Aaron Rodgers taking the mantle in the Steel City. There is no doubt that even as Aaron Rodgers' abilities have faded now into year 21 of his NFL career at the tender age of 41 years old, he is not the quarterback that he once was. And yet, is he still better than Mason Rudolph? Yeah, I would say so. But just for some context, DRS, last year with the New York Jets, his only full season, of course, with Gang Green, he threw for 3,897 yards. 28 touchdowns to 11 INTs. He started all 17 games, and the Jets went just 5-2. Aaron Rodgers has played 2 full decades in the NFL. He has played 14 years of at least starting 15 games in Green Bay, last year with New York as well. In only 4 of those 14 years, he's played at least 15 games. Aaron Rodgers missed out on the Pro Bowl. His first full year as a starter with the Pack in 2008, 2010 as well, his last year in Green Bay in 2022, and then last season with the New York Jets. Those were also the only 4 years of his NFL career, DRS. He has thrown double-digit interceptions in his 63% completion percentage a season ago with New York, the 4th lowest in his career. Is he a good quarterback still? I'd give you that. Is he above average? Sure. But is he trending more to mediocre than elite? Absolutely, in my mind.
And where does he figure in this Pittsburgh offense that's notorious for Mike Tomlin saying, like, I don't want you throwing the football. We're going to play good defense here. If we need offense, we might be able to steal it later in the game. He's not that type of quarterback who's going to come in and, like, I can't change the play at the line of scrimmage. I live with that. And also, I'm interested to see the Aaron Rodgers effect, too, because when he comes to town and goes, I love DK Metcalf, but I'm going to bring in 3 other wide receivers that were my best friends in the past and throw them a lot of footballs here. Does he get that in this, or is this the end of the road? Like, Aaron, you're going to do it our way or the highway, which I don't think is the case, which I get back to that notion of, if you were getting a really good team-friendly deal, Aaron's a type that would be like, you know what, slip this out. Pat McAfee, put this out for me. You won't believe the contract Aaron's going to sign, like basically playing for free because he wants to prove how good he is in Pittsburgh, which, again, I'm so intrigued by. Hey, Aaron Rodgers signed, and we always get those big-time embedded reporters immediately out with the financial details of what this looks like. It's kind of funny that almost 24 hours from him being signed, we don't have any financial details of what this deal actually looks like, which we'll play into. But to your original point, they're a better team with Aaron Rodgers because he's a better quarterback than what we saw last year from anything that they got from Justin Fields and or, let's just say, Russell Wilson. But here's the issue. This isn't 34-year-old Aaron Rodgers, and forget about the skill set, right? He's 41 years old. He doesn't move that well. This is going to be played in Pittsburgh, windy conditions, cold conditions, a black and blue type division. He's going to take a lot of hits. So I don't know if he survives, Ben, 17 total games in the pocket and playing at a high level. If he does, sure, you're going to get good, solid quarterback play because he still has a pretty good arm. But the fact that he can't move in a new environment with a team with expectations that's not even supposed to get the double-digit wins, this wasn't a coronation saying, we have the Super Bowl team, now we just need the quarterback, and it's going to be paint by numbers. Like, remember when Peyton Manning went to the Super Bowl with no arm? That's because that Denver Broncos team was laid out on offense and defense and absolutely spectacular, where he can use his mind games and sort of will his team to victory. Aaron Rodgers can't do that with the Steelers. I'm worried about him making it through the season because you know this. We're going to get those reports in week 5 and 6. He's playing through a broken finger. He's playing through a separated shoulder. He's playing through a broken left pinky. We're going to get that here. He's going to get nicked up this year.
Yeah, DRS, you mentioned Justin Fields, who the Pittsburgh Steelers see right away in week number 1, a rematch of Rodgers against his former team in the Jets, Fields against now his former team in Pittsburgh. But even Justin Fields, with all of his limitations last season, had the Steelers at 4-2 in the opening 6 weeks, and Russell Wilson had them as the number 1 seed in the AFC early in December before they stumbled mightily down the stretch. Back to the Steelers' schedule. Just some interesting quirks that are fun from a narrative perspective. Again, week 1, right away against the Jets. For the first time, DRS, he will face off against the Green Bay Packers week number 8. The Jets did not play the Packers either of these previous 2 seasons. There it is at Acrisure.
Yeah, what's in Green Bay?
Number 8. Hour number 2. Now the NFL next.
Falcons are actually relieved that he's kind of not there to create more of a distraction. Look, I mean, I said it the day it happened. It was one of the stupider decisions I've ever seen by a professional NFL franchise to sign a quarterback to a $180 million contract and then draft his replacement exactly 5 weeks later. This was a terrible organizational decision by the Falcons. Now, they're going to spin this, and this is what's annoying about the Falcons and their PR staff. They're going to spin this as if this is the plan we had all along. This is the plan that when, Kirk Cousins either got hurt or didn't play well or got too old, we were going to have Penix come in. And guess what? The new plan is now we're going to keep Kirk Cousins as a backup. So if Michael Penix gets hurt, we told you so. We were right for keeping him on the roster. We were smart for keeping him here. No, this whole thing has been an abject disaster.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high, but the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that ring. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple of 15.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. That's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
The Steelers' interest in Aaron Rodgers as a joke. Your boy went off about the entire situation and why it taken so long to forget him. Terry Bradshaw getting involved.
Yeah, and saying basically, what are you bringing him in for 1 year? All of this drama for 1 year at this guy, where he is now in his career is he's washed.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Welcome to hour number 2, live right here on this Friday on the early line on SportsGrid. He is Donnie Rightside. I am Ben Stevens. So much to get to here in hour number 2. We'll continue NFL conversations. Aaron Rodgers is now a Pittsburgh Steeler. What does it mean for the Steelers in 2025? Does it elevate the